Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go through one of the most flexible comps that can be one-tricked in the current meta. So as you know, set 10 has made it very difficult to one-trick compositions due to the fact there are no legends to help force certain playstyles, champion pools have been reduced so being contested is even more punishing than it was before, and the introduction of headline is making it very easy to pivot from one comp to another. With that in mind, this one-trick guide is going to be a little different to previous ones that I've done. Rather than try to force a single composition, we're going to look at three similar comps which differ very slightly depending on the headliner you get at level 8. The comp that I went with is the duo 4-cost carry of Karthus and Akali. It's a very strong comp which has both AP carry and an AD carry, which is great for one-tricking as it means you will be able to make use of your item components regardless of what they are. As I mentioned before, there are three endgame comps you can play depending on the headliner you find, which can be either Pentakill, KDA or Executioner. Regardless of the composition you end up with, they all have the same method of winning games, which is by using Akali to burst down the enemy's backline, and then Karthus to clean up the kills by using his ult. You need to make sure to place Akali on the opposite side of where you think the enemy carry is going to be positioned, as her ability jumps to the furthest enemy, and if they haven't positioned correctly, you can pick up free wins very easily just from positioning alone. All three of these comps are strong and should reliably get top 4s, but ideally you want either the KDA or Pentakill headliner as they are a little stronger than the Executioner one. So with that said, we're going to go through each of the three compositions, then move into what you should be doing at each stage in the game to hit them. So first up we have the KDA headliner composition, which activates 5 KDA along with Spellweavers and the usual mix of Superfan frontline. For this comp you ideally want the KDA headliner to be Akali, but if you hit KDA Ahri instead, then you can simply put the AP damage items on Ahri and it won't make a huge difference in the end composition. You also have the option of going 7 KDA if you manage to find an emblem on the carousel by dropping Sona for Seraphine and putting the emblem on Karthus. As all of these compositions use Superfan, you'll get one free item on your headliner, so make sure not to build 3 AP or AD items until you know which headliner you're committing to. As soon as you have your headliner, you can then look at filling out any of the empty item slots on the carries. Next we have the Pentakill version of the comp, which is when you find a Pentakill Karthus headliner, but you can also play it if you find a Pentakill Mordekaiser headliner, and you can 3-star him. With this comp, you swap out the KDA and Spellweaver units for more Pentakill units like Yorick, Gnar and Mordekaiser, and then use the 8th unit to slot in another tank unit like Alawi. Similarly with the KDA version of the comp that can go 7 KDA if you find an emblem, you can also go 7 Pentakill if you manage to find a Pentakill emblem, and you can put it on Akali, and then you can swap out Alawi for Viego. And finally we have the weakest of the three comps, but still a strong top 4 contender, and that is Executioner Karthus or Akali headliner. With this version you put in Amumu and Vex to give you 4 Executioner, and then the accompanying traits of Emo and Guardian. So now we've gone through the 3 different versions of the composition, it's time to go through how to play them. Just before we do, if you find these guides helpful, I would really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing, as it does really help support the channel and motivates me to make more content. So all 3 versions of this comp have the same core traits throughout them, which are Superfan, KDA and Pentakill. So for the early game you want to look out for any openers that will make the transition to one of the 3 versions of the comp as smooth as possible, whilst also making the strongest board you can. I've put together some openers here that you can see to help give you an idea of what to look out for, but there are so many options it's impossible to list them all. As this is a 4-cost carry comp, you want the strongest board you can create to ensure you preserve health and to be able to safely get to level 8. This means leveling to 4 at 2-1 and making sure you have a decent frontline and a solid item holder for the items you're given. For example, if you're given AP items like Rods or Tears, you should look to get an AP item holder like Annie or Evelyn, and for AD items look for an AD item holder like Yasuo or Corki. At stage 2-5 you want to level to 5 and slot in units that activate or contribute to any of your active traits. Ideally you want to be slotting in any of the 3 core traits I mentioned earlier, or at least picking them up and holding them on your bench if it doesn't make sense to put them on the board right now. At stage 3-2 you want to level up to 6. Make sure you're always looking at what headliners are offered to see if you can upgrade. Some great headliners to carry you through the mid game that fit well into your comp are Gnar, Seraphine and Kai'Sa. Depending on how well the early to mid game went, you can level to 7 as early as 3-5, but in most cases it will be around 4-1. Remember, the end goal is to get to level 8 as safely as possible. Our final comp is dictated by the headliner we get on level 8 Rolldown, so you don't need to worry about hitting certain units at this stage. Play the strongest board you can with any 2-star units you find. Deciding when to level to 8 is determined by how much gold you'll have left after leveling and how much health you currently have. Ideally you want to level to 8 and have 50 gold left to roll down with. This can happen as early as 4-2 and as late as 5-1. But if you're somewhere around 30 health, then you should probably level to 8 as soon as you have enough gold to be left with 30 to 40 gold to roll down with. Once you are level 8, you want to sell your current headliner and roll down to look for any of the headliners I mentioned at the start of the video. As soon as you hit one, you want to look at which of the 3 comps it falls into, and continue rolling down for the units in that comp if you don't already have them. You don't have to do this in a single round, as it may be a lot to transition in under a minute. If you get too dizzy, you can simply put your headliner on the board and wait until the next round to continue looking for the other units. Depending on how that roll down went, this should be enough to stabilise, and you can look at econing back up to 50 gold and leveling to 9. If you don't have both of your carries 2-starred, you should probably stay at level 8 and continue to roll until you do. This comp's combo of Karthus ult and Akali backline assassination really only works if both are 2-starred, as they won't have enough damage to clear the backline before your frontline is gone. So I wouldn't go for level 9 before that unless you're very healthy and have been win streaking the entire game. And that's the end of this guide. Thanks for watching, I hope you found it helpful, and if you give this a go, let me know how you get on in the comments.